Now, welcome back. It seems there's hope for corruption cases in Nigeria that has dragged on for many years in different courts across the country. The fight against corruption has been hampered by what many described as judicial bottleneck, which, of course, has made many cases stalled in courts. For example, some governors who finished their terms in 2007 are still being probed by anti-graft agencies, yet there seems to be no headway. As a matter of fact, you have cases that have been lingering in courts like forever. The courts have been accused many times, of course, of complicity and unnecessary delay in concluding corruption cases. Over 75% of corruption cases in Nigerian courts involve politicians, top businessmen, and public servants. Now, most of these cases have dragged on for years, with the accused using their influence and resources to frustrate prosecution by anti-graft agencies. All this seemed to be coming to an end with the recent pronouncement, of course, by the Chief Justice of the Federation, Walter Onogen. The CJN last week directed all heads of courts in the country to compile and forward to the National Judicial Council, NJC, a comprehensive list of all corruption and financial crime cases being handled by their various courts. Justice Onogen, who gave the directive during a special court session of the Supreme Court held to mark the opening day of the 2017-2018 legal year, noted that inexplicable and seemingly intractable delays has become the bane of criminal justice administration in the country. The CJN ordered all the heads of courts to designate at least one court in their various jurisdictions as special courts, solely for the purpose of hearing corruption cases. Not just corruption cases now, even cases related to financial crimes. The CJN seems to be speaking the mind of many Nigerians and some civil society groups who have actually been advocating the creation of these special courts to try corruption cases. But the question is, well, we just have to wait and see how effective that will be. Joining me now to discuss this and more, I have, the president of Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, Debo Adeniro, is here with us, and I also have Achike Chude, who is a public affairs analyst. I have to start with you, Mr. Adeniro. This is something your group has been clamoring for a very long time now. Exactly. At some point, some people said it was just not possible. Now you have the Chief Justice of the country calling for the creation of this special court. You must be satisfied with this.
We are satisfied, but we are still waiting for the implementation of the order. Like you are correct to have said that. That's what we've been clamoring for since a very long time. As a matter of fact, when the first female Chief Justice of Federation came on board, that was Aloma Mukhtar, came on board. She tried to sanitize the judiciary. She checked the files of the corrupt judges and all that, and actually sent some of them packing. But because the government of Goodluck Jonathan didn't like that, because many of their friends, in the judiciary were involved, so they stopped it, midway, and that was the end of it, because she was gravitating towards, setting up of these special courts. And it is on your program sometimes ago when somebody was arguing that, look, it is going to, the country is going to incur extra costs, building courthouses and all that. We suggested then that, look, you don't need to build any new structure. Just designate a court, within the jurisdiction and make it a special court. As a matter of fact, Lagos State has done something similar to that before.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria,
exactly, where some judges were designated to hear corruption cases. But this is a step even further than what has ever been done about it before, to the extent that the NJC is going to set up a committee that is going to monitor corruption cases in court. And if there is any appeal, that appeal will be given priority. The hearing of the appeal will be given priority. That is, no other case will be allowed to interject when the appeal on corruption cases that is involving public exposed persons is going on. So this is fantastic. And we only hope that they will implement it the way it has been papered. It has been written
down.
Yes.
Achike, the judiciary has always been accused of not coming on board in the fight against corruption. At some point, there were suggestions that the judiciary was frustrating the fight against corruption. Do you think this is the Chief Justice now trying to put the record straight and to get the judiciary on board?
Well, I think it's about how much he cares for the judiciary, how much he's concerned about the battered image of the judiciary. It could be pretty embarrassing what has been going on for a very long time. And of course, we know that for so long, Nigerians kept on saying, this normal, balance of the courts being the last hope of the common man. I think it became inevitable that we got to know that the courts are no longer, the judiciary is no longer the hope of the common man. Because we saw the judiciary also playing an inglorious role in furthering the ends of corruption in the country. And of course, we know that virtually every sector of the political economy of Nigeria is also buried in endemic corruption. Whether you talk about the executive, the legislature, and then the judiciary. In a country where you have this endemic nature of corruption, it is very difficult to single out the judiciary as a shining light. It is part of the society that we find ourselves in. And so the lawyers had lost their respect and their reputation. The judiciary had lost its integrity. And so you needed something very radical that would begin, to make Nigerians, somehow begin to think twice about that appellation of the judiciary as a very corrupt institution in the country. And I think this is a step that, in the right direction that the Chief Justice has taken. It was inevitable, really, because I know that, Dr. Tunji Braithwaite was one of the early people, too, that was also calling for a special court or a people's court, set aside,
to try corruption cases.
To try corruption cases. But my own worry is this, and it is good. I mean, Debo had, alluded to the fact that a lot of people who were against that were premising their argument then on the fact that it was going to cost, money to begin to build these courts all over. And then the suggestion I think they gave is what has been, implemented. They are just a specially designated court within the same, jurisdiction, with the same infrastructure, but trying only corruption, cases. I think that is good. But again, apart from the delays that we have been seeing in the judiciary, there was also this issue of the requirements, for instance, for determining the guilt of a person. And the part of the discussion with regards to that has been that it is extremely very, very rigorous. So some people wanted a process that would be fair, but also a process that would not be as rigorous as it has been. Again, where lawyers, could get their clients off on the basis of technicalities and so on. So I want to believe that if you have, a special court in this sense, it must not be something that has to do with just the infrastructure itself, and just by you declaring, designating, particular, judicial provinces, as places where the special courts should sit. But I think that somehow the laws setting up, I would have believed that if you wanted an expedited action, because what it will do is that you are going to see, the same level of, the same pace, the same very slow pace in, trying out these people. Yes, you could dispense with more cases because it is now specially designated. But what it means is that a case normally that would have lasted maybe about 7 years could end up lasting about 4 years. You cut off about 3 years. That might still not be enough. So I think that burden, really of being too rigorous, without undermining the element of fairness, on behalf of the client, I think that that should also be looked at. So that this, for instance, this issue of delays, in prosecution, for instance, I think the chief judge, I think the last chief judge also had tried to do something before Onoge came in, where, the pace of the judiciary was also, quickened. So I want to look at the policy framework, of this, behind this, statement by the CJN, and see whether it is possible to get some of these cases to be expedited.
Okay, Debo, you think with this now you could have expedited hearing and conclusion of corruption cases?
Yes, because several aspects of the structure that delay, has been taken care of by the ACJ, that is Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Okay, that has been taken care of. All the technicalities they look at will no longer hold water, because there is a time limit to how long you can hear a case. There is a time, a time band. A limit to the number of adjournments you can ask for. So frivolities that normally delay justice system has been taken care of by ACJ. Now, the other thing is that the present CJ has said that ACJ will be given the necessary bite, so that at the end of the day, any judge or lawyer that deliberately sabotage it will be taken as an accomplice. So all of these have been taken care of. What we can now pray for, because we have more corruption cases in some places, in some states than others. In states like Lagos and Abuja, for example,
we may need transferred to.
Exactly, we may need more than one court.
Okay.
To listen to such. Then the arguments that cases of corruption should be heard within the jurisdiction where the offense was committed is still being given hearing. It's being given a hear at the high courts. So that should also be jettisoned. Okay, if, for example, we don't have much corruption cases,
so that you don't have a situation where a particular state is jammed.
So you can transfer some of these cases to states like Osun, like Kaduna, or any other states that have less cases in their hand. You can transfer the cases to those jurisdictions so that you will not fall into the same trap that we are trying to extricate ourselves from.
By the way, why is this very important? Why is it very important that Nigeria deals with these corruption cases?
I should tell you that, one, it is in Nigeria that those accused of corruption crimes are not in a hurry to clear their names. Well, as a matter of fact, they prefer to continue to carry the burden of the burden of corruption stigma, all through the time that they are occupying an office. You know why? Because Nigerians don't learn the act of shaming those that are still, attending courts for corruption. And that is why the present Senate president could speak, as a matter of fact, lecturing people on how to curb corruption, even when there are so many corruption cases and allegations hanging around his neck and his family members. Why should we have a president of our legislative arm, the legislative arm of our federal government, oscillating between the exalted position of the Senate president and chairman of the National Assembly and the criminal court, where he's answering corruption cases? Now, what that signal is that there won't be any law that will be made to strengthen the fight against corruption. As a matter of fact, all the laws they have tried to do on the policies they tried to implement was geared towards whittling down the powers of the anti-corruption agencies. As a matter of fact, they wanted to subsume the powers of the anti-corruption agencies under the powers of the National Assembly, which is an anathema. Okay? When you look at all the number of senior lawyers that are accompanying
we know that.
All of these, and the number of senators that left their jobs, the jobs that they asked for from Nigerians to follow. So all of this means that the man wasn't ready to clear his name, because up till now, not that his name has been cleared.
But the most important thing is, with a court like this, you wouldn't have the kind of delays we've been having. No,
we are not going to have that kind of delays if the aim of setting up the court is not circumscribed by
and you think this is
powerful
is a clear sign on our part that the country is actually ready to fight corruption now. Because to be candid, if the judiciary is not on board, there's hardly anything you can do anyway.
Well, let me just say that the CJN has been quite brilliant and ingenious in coming up with this, because I know that the president had in the past talked about the possibility or the need to set up a special court. And
which some people, even some senior lawyers, even kicked against.
Yeah, of course, some people kicked against. And so the implication of that would have been perhaps to have taken the lifetime of his first tenure to even get to achieve that if he succeeded in achieving it, because you have to, have an executive bill, you have to send it to the National Assembly, and National Assembly, from the body language again, we have seen with regards to corruption.
I mean, you don't even need, this doesn't need to go to the National Assembly.
Exactly. So that's why I said it was quite ingenious, because what he did was just to walk within the context of what we have on ground, and still achieve the same purpose. You understand? And I think it's very good. We're going to see how it's going to unfold. But clearly, and I think he hinted at that, the fact that he's going to keep very close eyes, on the process and the proceedings, especially, at these special courts, because ultimately, again, the same human beings who have been involved in the regular courts.
Exactly.
You understand? You're not, what you have just changed. You've not really changed much, but except now that what you're going to do is for the purpose of expediting, action in terms of corruption. You're still going to have the same people. You're still having the same actors, within the same process and in the same milieu, environment and all of that. So, but there is always that motivation, really, to look at what is going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think even it has been mentioned that judges that are going to sit in those courts are those that don't have allegations of corruption against them. Look at what happened in Lagos State. Justice Olunipomi Oyewole was the one that was designated to hear corruption cases alone. He had the case of the former chairman, Southwest chairman of PDP, and got him convicted. Eventually, when he left, he was removed and was taken, maybe he was promoted against his will, and somebody else took over the case, and one thing led to the other. He was free at the Supreme Court, isn't it? Yeah. So the important thing is for the authorities to do background check
on the judges.
On the judges that are going to that court. They should be the ones that cherish integrity. Those who have made good names for themselves and they would not want to destroy it, just on the platter of what to eat. So basically, if we have, we still have them. There may not be many in the judicial system, but we still have them. Then we have those who want to also become a born-again, jurist, who want to also convince the authorities that, look, these allegations, yes, I've not cleared myself totally, but I promise you I'm not going to do. It will make them swear, do a different oath, before going to that seat. Otherwise, then Nigerians themselves should be vigilant. CSOs should be vigilant. We try to monitor many of these cases in court within the limit of our own capacity. What we will want to do is to network with our other sister organizations all over the country. Wherever cases of corruption is being heard, our people should be there. Yeah. We were in London, we were in Dubai, we were everywhere chasing one of the convicted people, PEPs, all about. We can go there, and that will make it easy. The designation of a particular court will make it easy for Nigerians to monitor corruption cases, because in some cases, mischievously, those who assign cases, they assign it to obscure courts. Yeah. So that they won't want the eyes of the media and the eyes of the public to be on them. That's not going
to happen.
So it's not going to happen.
And maybe in addition, is the fact that the EFCC has to up its ante. Of course, we've had instances where the EFCC was accused of not having done diligent prosecution, and so
as a matter of Justice Onoge has also debunked that. That it is the judges. You also know.
Well, I'm afraid we just have to end the discussion here. All right, that's it on the program. We thank you very much for watching. But if you want to watch it again, it's simple. Just go to our website. That's www.tv360nigeria.com. You can find this program and lots more there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. The address is youtube.com/TV360 TV360 Nigeria. Do subscribe now to get more videos and updates. You can join us on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria or like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360 online. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Nigeria. Well, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.